Hello everybody and welcome back. I am KRX and we are continuing on with this complete beginner tutorial series for Europa Universalis 4. This is no DLC, but this is fully up to date with the Leviathan patch, 1.31 patch that came out in 2021, spring 2021, and with the Southeast Asia update and all the little sort of balance changes and fixes and things that have come with that. So this is fully up to date for everyone playing the game without any of the DLCs, which it might be kind of tricky actually to find too many tutorials on YouTube with those conditions. But the base game is a fantastically rich and deep game. It only costs $8 to $10, so it's a great way to get into the series. And from there, you can build you can understand whether or not you'll enjoy the game or not, and you can build the context required, the experience in the game required to even make good purchasing decisions about the DLCs, because then you'll know sort of what the features. Oh, you're like, oh, I understand trade, so this one kind of enhances trade. Okay, I get that, so on and so forth. So it's important to kind of understand the game a little bit to know what DLCs you even want to get and need to get and such. And we are going to be doing a DLC tutorial as well. We've actually already done DLC tutorials and beginner tutorials, no DLC tutorials. We have one for Portugal and Muscovy if you're interested in checking those out. Those are 99% up to date, but some of the little tweaks have been changed in the time. And we also have tutorials for Castile and Ottomans with all the DLC, and England with some DLC, if any of those are interesting. I will keep in mind, though, guys, really we kind of have to take a deep breath here, just whew, and just kind of think about like the sheer amount of stuff that we talked about in the last 3 episodes. Even though we went slow and steady, we haven't even unpaused the game yet. We have been playing the game. That's the thing. It's like we've been playing the game, even though we haven't even let the time run, because there's just so many decisions and analysis that goes on in the process of preparing and making choices and so on and so forth in the game. But what I will say is just we are gearing this towards complete beginners, but France is a tricky nation. France, we've noticed in some ways how powerful France is economically and militarily, so on and so forth, but this is not going to be without hardships, and if you are a brand new player playing France, you will run into some things are going to go off the rail, and that's why we're trying our best to teach the process of the game, not the specifics of the game. Because as soon as we unpause, my experience is going to be very different than your experience. This is not a guide as to do this as France, do this as France. It doesn't work like that. We make choices with the evolving world that we play in, that we live in, and then ultimately we're going to have to make different choices because different situations will occur. Let's get ready to unpause the game. The game has been paused. We're going to use spacebar to pause and unpause. As soon as I unpause, this banner will go away, and then I can just pause again. So I can literally just pause and pause. It doesn't matter. It's not like the game will just continually be flowing forever. We will pause whenever we need to make tough decisions or think about something or look in the menus and stuff. We will happily pause the game. But I will say that, and then we'll get a sense of how fast and slow the different speeds are up here. We can go plus and minus. And I'm going to say we're going to want to stay around speed 2 just to feel it out. And then as soon as we feel that feels kind of slow or feels kind of good, we can either up it or whatever. We're probably not going to want to play at speed 1. Speed 1 is very, very slow, very slow. And speed 4 and 5 are pretty quick. Sometimes I go to speed 4. I really like speed 3. When I'm playing, I just set it to speed 3 and I forget about it. As a new player, let's keep it at 2. Alrighty, guys. Whew. There's still tons of stuff on the screen we haven't talked about, right? Although, actually, just looking around, before we had pause, let's just get a sense of what we've kind of gotten familiar with as, like, proximally familiar with, right? Our diplomats are over here. We've talked a lot about diplomats. They're over here. It's also represented up here as you have 3 diplomats, but I don't really pay attention to this too much. I'm usually looking at the outline. If you don't see the outline, keep in mind that's what this button is here. Where you can customize the things that appear on your outline. So if there's things you don't care about here, you can get rid of them. If there's things you do care about them, that's fine. We have our merchants here. You might need to add merchants. By default, merchants might not show up, but this just makes sure, okay, our merchants are doing something. One's transferring to a different location in 4 days, and the other one's just working in Bordeaux. That's totally fine. We have our 2 army groups. That's good just to know what's going on with our troops, how they're organized and stuff like that. We have our navies. We have our 2 navies. And then we also are recruiting a new regiment in Paris. That'll join the Armée Royale, the Royal Army. Okay, cool. We've talked about ducats. We've talked about how manpower is spent to build regiments, but manpower is also spent to replenish troops when they die in combat. Manpower is an incredibly important stat. We can see we have a maximum manpower of 34,000. We have 10,000 now. It's going to be slowly accumulating just over time, just slowly accumulating. Every month we get 350. In fact, if you math this out, it takes exactly 10 years to go from 0 manpower to maximum manpower. That's how that's tuned. That's how that's modified. So it takes 10 years. It takes a long time to build up your manpower. So when you lose this or use this, I mean, you're kind of stuck with low manpower. Manpower is how you win and lose the wars, ultimately. Having manpower is critical. Sailors are how we build more ships. You can see we're getting 23 per month. We have a maximum of 3,000, but we have pretty low sailor count right now. We have 0 stability. This is a metric that goes between negative and positive, so we're just neutral. We're not unstable, we're not extra stable, so on and so forth. We got a little bit of prestige earlier from our estates are giving us some prestige, but we haven't talked about what prestige does. It's just a bunch of modifiers there that we don't really care about. We care that a lot of these things are good. Having more prestige is good. We could see some things there aggressive expansion, impact reduction. Okay, that's good. Morale of armies, global trade power. Sure, this is all good stuff, right? Just good stuff. It's just a stat. The more, the better. It goes up to 100. It goes down to negative 100. A lot of these are pendulums. They swing up and down. Legitimacy. This makes sense thematically. I'm not trying to teach these things. I'm just kind of covering the things we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about legitimacy. Don't need to worry about it. But we can imagine that if our country is more legitimate, if our rulership is more legitimate, people will be more, that the people of our country will be more pleased with their leadership and less likely to rebel against us and revolt. Power projection here, we don't have much, but it's going up slightly because we have rivals apparently. Giving us some moderate benefits and stuff. Again, goes up to 100. Our merchants, we don't have any colonists. We have a missionary, but he's not doing anything. He doesn't need to do anything. Speaking of religion, we could go to the religion map mode and see why our missionary doesn't need to do anything, because this is all Catholic. Except for a little bit of Hussite religion in there in Bohemia. A little bit of Sunnis still holding out in Lower Iberia here. Castile's going to have to deal with them. Orthodox here on the eastern front of Europe, creating a little bit of religious instability and conflict over here, even mixing with the Sunnis here of Anatolia and the Ottoman Empire. But for the most part, it's a happy Catholic world here in the center of Christendom, France. So our missionaries have nothing to do. Everybody's just happy Catholics over here. And we're going to find other reasons to go to war with each other rather than religious strife, which is definitely a serious reason to go to war with a country in this game, as you can imagine, historically. Okay, we're ready to unpause. There's a lot of things we haven't talked about. That's what I'm trying to say. Some of these things we have mentioned peripherally, but we haven't really discussed things in detail. There's buttons we haven't clicked on the screen yet. There's tabs we haven't gone to. It's all fine. Buttons down here, all kinds of stuff. Let's unpause the game and just let it roll a bit and see what happens. Events will start happening as time flows. Oh, now we're 12th, 13th, 14th. Time is flowing. Things are moving. Our ships are deploying as we told them to. Austria is telling us about something. The Kingdom of Italy and the Empire. The Empire, the HRE. We haven't talked about the HRE. However, this is the HRE, the Holy Roman Empire down here. And if we actually, there's a map mode. You might have to fish for this one. There's an Imperial map mode somewhere. Oh, I have it below my my fort map mode. So we have the fort map mode that we looked at earlier. See where our forts are and stuff. There's an Imperial map mode. This is actually the HRE. This is a giant blob, and Austria is the Emperor. Okay, and Austria is responsible for the wellness of this blob. And you can see part of Italy, northern Italy, is part of the empire. However, it's discussing that relationship between Italy and the empire. Right now, Italy is kind of part of the empire, but it turns out that if we read through this a little bit and we understand the history of this time period, Italy's actually going to kind of like break away. Italy's going to try to break away from the empire and fall out of the empire. And Austria gets benefits with how big and strong this empire is, so losing the Italian states is actually a bad thing. It makes them susceptible as well because they won't have the protection of the empire. If we were to attack into the HRE, Austria would defend that integrity, the integrity of the HRE. So if we wanted to attack Savoy right now, Austria would be very upset about that, and they would go to war with us in defense of Savoy. However, Savoy is part of Italy, and when Savoy breaks away from the empire, Savoy's going to lose that protection from Austria. Interestingly enough, we can see that Burgundy actually has a lot of HRE land that the HRE believes to be theirs, but is not technically belonged, however you want to think about this, to the HRE currently, right? It's currently owned by Burgundy. So Austria is actually like really jonesing to take that land back. There will be conflict between Austria and Burgundy. That is kind of inevitable. So at least we kind of have again, the enemy of our enemy is our friend. Austria is kind of our friend in this sense until we eventually butt heads with Austria, which is also historically inevitable. Scotland wants an alliance with us. Now, we already have a diplomatic relation with them. Remember, we have a limit to how many diplomatic relations we have. We're over our limit right now with 8 out of 7. Scotland wants to turn that guarantee into an alliance. And to be fair, I don't think we want an alliance with Scotland, because what would happen with an alliance with Scotland is if we got into a war with England. If we got into a war with England and Scotland was helping us, quote, quote, helping us, England would just go beat up on Scotland. And that would actually ravage Scotland, weaken Scotland. So I don't want to pull Scotland into wars again with England. I want England and Scotland to be at peace. I don't want them to ravage each other. I mean, if Scotland was strong enough to ravage England, that'd be great. But Scotland's way weaker than England. Way weaker than England. In fact, there's going to be a time where we might actually just break the... we might literally break the guarantee that we have with Scotland. Although that, again, we talked about how that would give England a clear path to the north. And that would make England a fiercer rival to us, which is not what we want. So those are a couple of things that have popped up. Banners will pop up when the AI requests alliances with us and stuff. We have too many diplomatic relations, but Scotland knew that we already had a relationship with them, so the alliance would not count as another one. It wouldn't be 9 out of 7. It'd still be 8 out of 7, because we already have one relationship against them. Casus Belli, we have gained the Casus Belli against the Ottomans. Great. And England and Burgundy. So because we're rivaled with these guys, we just have a reason to attack. We can just go attack them. Easy peasy. We could just attack them. We could humiliate them because they're a rival. We could do a reconquest war. Like, we have so many. We could attack Burgundy. We have all kinds of... we have legitimate reasons to attack Burgundy just because they're our rival. Just because they're our rival. You know? Not a problem. Not a problem for us at all. Of course, attacking Burgundy would actually be... well, we'd have the troop. If we could call Provence into the war too. But this would... humiliation is not what we want to do necessarily. We want to do a reconquest war against England, ideally. We want to reconquest against England. However, we kind of want to have our troops paid for that. Build up a little bit of money in the treasury. Portugal is allied to England. Just thinking this through a little bit, you know? Just kind of thinking this one through a little bit. Now, here's the thing. I've played this game before. I've played as France before. I really like France. I'm going to... Here, how did this pop up? I'm going to just kind of get rid of this. I don't... Oh, there it is. I don't really care about... This is like a little message notification thing. I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. Oh, Provence wants a royal marriage. Royal marriages make it harder to break alliances, right? If you have a royal marriage with someone, if you have an alliance, you can kind of like break those whenever you want. It creates a truce with them for 5 years or so, but it's not a big deal. You just break the alliance. They're a little upset about it. They're cranky about it, but that's all. If you have a royal marriage, though, you can't just break the alliance. You have to wait till the royal marriage runs its course, and it does run its course eventually. I do not want to royal marry Provence because I don't want to be bound to them in that way. I don't want to be, you know, that tied into them. We have, speaking of royal marriages, though, we definitely want one with Castile. We want to be bound with Castile. We want to be tight with Castile. Let's get royal marriages with our subjects as well. We talked about how we wanted to do that. That just makes them like us more. Our diplomats will be back in a few days. Let's have royal marriages with all of our subjects. Just improves our relationships with them. It's all around just a good thing. Stuff is happening. So let's go to the Papal State. Oh, the Papal State has excommunicated us. Wait, what? Excommunicated? My king, excommunication has happened to it. This is very bad. Oh, this is incredibly bad. They even liked us too. We made a huge tactical blunder. We should have sent an envoy to the Pope to butter them. We should have been making them happy. We should have been making the Pope happy. And instead they excommunicated us. Does that last until our leadership dies? Or does that last until the Pope dies? Pope is 62 years old. We got a national decision here. Maybe because we've been excommunicated? Rulers a certain amount. Papal state opinion of us is minus 50%. Declare statute in restraint of appeals. Gain 10 prestige. All of the Catholic, basically tons of Catholic nations would not like this. Papal state opinion would not like us. They'd already hate us anyways, apparently. Until the end of the game, we get national rest modifier, stability cost modifier, yearly prestige, and clergy equilibrium. This is kind of an interesting choice, to be honest. It would create a huge diplomatic crisis for everyone around us, though. That is not what you typically want to do. You want to stay a good, God-fearing Catholic Christian. You want to make the Pope happy. Don't make the mistake I did. Send a diplomat to the Pope and just butter them. Just improve relationship with them a little bit. Just butter them up a touch. I might do that now. It's fruitful because they're at minus 200. I might do that now just to stack a little bit of positive improve relations on them, even though it's going to stay negative until either the Pope dies or until my leader dies. I'm not sure, but we'll work on that just a little bit. Man, that's kind of a bummer. I think they were just barely. I don't know why they just randomly did that to us. Oh, I know why. The Papal State, again, diplomatic map mode, right? Papal State, they have some stuff going on here. They have a claim over here. But guess what? They have a province right over here. They're bordering us. So they just randomly just thought we were to be the target of the excommunication. They should have excommunicated Venice. Or Naples or something. Usually they excommunicate someone next to them in Italy. But they excommunicated France. That is so funny. That is very ahistorical. And that's going to create some serious issues here. In fact, other nations that are Catholic nations are going to be pissed that we got excommunicated. Brittany hates us. Savoy hates us. This is a massive diplomatic crisis over here. Quite literally. So we could send, okay, we could send here. Let's send, let's try to butter up with Brittany so they don't hate us too much. This is going to make it easier for England to get alliances against us, which they have gotten some alliances, but they've allied some weaker nations. They decided to ally Kildare in Ireland and Ulster. Those guys are not going to be threatening or a problem for us. Castile has allied Portugal. Aragon has allied Austria. That's quite intimidating. Aragon actually still has the personal union over Naples, it seems. That didn't shrug off. Sometimes that shrugs off. The Papal State is doing not so hot right now, to be honest. I mean, they're rivaled to Provence, to Austria, Genoa. Why didn't they excommunicate one of them? All we had to do was send a diplomat there and just butter them for a couple days. And they would not have done that to us. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Well, do we want to prepare for war against England? What the heck? If we were to raise it, yeah, let's raise it. Let's get the troops online. Let's get this fort online. Yep, let's unmothball the forts. There's a button over here actually in the military tab to say activate all forts. We can see we're only making 2 ducats a month now. Which is not ideal, but it's better than nothing. It is something. It is something. Let's go up to speed 3. It seems like things are moving kind of slowly. Events will be happening. Things will be occurring. But what we're trying to do is you can see this little green bar here next to our troops. That's our morale. So because we weren't paying them anything, they had no morale. So we need to get them full here. It's going to take a few months for that to happen. We also want these garrisons to come back. You can see there's 220 troops. The maximum is 2,000. So these are going to be replenishing every month. Every month is kind of like a simulation process. Like every month is kind of like a turn, in a sense, in the game. Every day is kind of a turn, but every month's kind of a turn too. So we're kind of just waiting there. Oh, Aragon has told us about the event of the Napoleon succession, when among the possible options they went with, we shall follow Alfonso's last testament as their choice of action. Oh, so they let Alfonso, they gave away Naples. Naples is now independent. Naples has no legal heir. So it'd be an interesting nation to ally, actually, to be honest. So we're getting a spy network with England. What can we do with this, actually? Just having the spy network with England will give us a little bit of benefits at war, but we could see we could also fabricate claims on them. We could support rebels if we had 60 spy network. And some of these other ones are more advanced, require more advanced technologies. Supporting rebels is kind of cool, though. You can kind of create uprisings within their country, which is kind of neat. But with 20, we could actually see if there's any claims. We could fabricate claims. We already have cores on all this land. That's not too big of a deal, but... Trust for favors, huh? I don't know why those are there, because those are not supposed to be... The favors are not supposed to be there. This might be a bug. This might get removed with a future patch. Because the favors are not part of the game if you only have the base game, unfortunately. I wish that was not the case, but the favor system is really cool. But so that shouldn't be showing up, I don't think, because that's confusing to have those there as options. But what we can do here is we can go here and we can fabricate. Oh, no, but wait, no possible provinces to fabricate claims? I guess it's just because we already have cores on all this stuff. That's fine. We're just building a spy network. That'll give us some benefits at war with them. There's various benefits that we get for having a spy network on them if we're at war with them too, which makes sense, right? If we have an active spy network in their country and we're at war with them, that's good. Do we declare on the 1st of January? It's good to declare the 1st of the month. 1st of January, 1446. Do we declare on England? Castile will not join. So let's look at this screen for a second, right? We're thinking about declaring war. We went to England's diplomacy tab. We hit declare war, and we could choose what the war goal will be and what the point of the war is going to be to reconquest various provinces. Now, the truth is, if we select any of these, we'll be able to take all of these in a single war. That's not a problem. But what we're trying to do, it's not like Crusader Kings 3 in that case. You could create your own peace deal as long as we win the war. This just tells us what is the war goal. What is the point of the war? What is the goal of the war? And we could think about which of those we'd want to pick. But more importantly, the enemy allies, there's checkbox next to them, because this is an aggressive war against them. This is an aggressive war against England. Their allies will honor the call. Their allies will honor the call right now. It's totaling up their total troops. They have 44,000 total troops. We have 40,000 total troops. Now, again, there's a little bit of a home court advantage that we would have in this situation. But this is not perfect. We could wait until Portugal gets distracted with Morocco, maybe. We could wait maybe till England, maybe England and Burgundy would fight each other. That would be a dream come true, but I don't know if that would happen early in the game. We can see that our allies are there's X's next to our allies, and there's no way to call them in. There's no way to hit these checkboxes here. Our subjects are forced to join, right? Subjects are forced to join, but our allies have kind of a choice, right? And we can see, why are they not winning? Provence likes England. Wait, Provence, how do you like England if they have land that belongs to you? Maine is supposed to belong to Provence, and yet they like England. Otherwise, they would join, but they like England. How is that? Wait, Castile likes England too. What the heck? Castile likes England? So we can go to diplomatic. I'm going to hit this one more time. It's going to take me to the opinion map mode. Wait, English opinion of Castile -1? But Castile's opinion of England is friendly. Dude, why? What is going on with this game? English opinion of Provence is -61, but yet Provence likes England. I don't understand that. Provence is only -4. They're threatened right now. It doesn't seem like they have a positive attitude. Maybe the threatened status is they don't want to mess with England because they're feeling threatened by England. I'm not sure. We're getting some money so we can build up more troops, right? And that is, we could try to get up to our force limit, which is now 38. It's grown. Our trade went up a little bit, not much. Okay, ooh, huge event. Okay, huge historical event. The surrender of Maine. Okay, so we had a treaty the last time we went to war with England before 1444. This is a historical event that will always happen if we didn't attack England. If we had just attacked England, this would not have happened. But because we've been at peace, England agreed in the last treaty of Tours in 1444. England agreed that Maine was promised to France. Okay? Maine, this province here was promised to France in the last treaty. However, England did not follow through on that. England did not follow through on that. Oh, wait. Wait, what? No way. No way. England actually chose to cede it to us. So England gets a choice, basically, is what I'm saying. They either get a choice to hold on to Maine and dishonor the treaty, or they get a choice to give it back and honor the treaty. They honored the treaty. So we now have Maine. Oh, this is interesting. Another big event came up. Milanese succession. But we have Maine, but now we have a truce with England. We have a 5-year truce with them. What the heck? I wanted to go to war with them, so we can't do anything against England for 5 years. The heck? Now we're hearing something about Milan. Milan has fallen into political chaos. The throne is vacant, and an upstart republic strives in vain to establish order. The throne belongs to us. We could actually take a detour and attack Milan. The problem with this is Milan is part of the HRE. So attacking Milan and taking the throne of Milan requires fighting Austria. The rest of their alliances are pretty weak. We could actually win this war against Ulm, the Three Leagues, and Trent. We could march over here and attack Milan. We could do that. But against Austria, it's not going to happen. They're they're not even connected to our country, and there's no way. We don't even have a land. We don't have a connection via water. We don't have a connection via land. This would be very hard to manage this realm over here. Although it would be a personal union, so we wouldn't have to manage it directly. This is a choice. This is a tough choice, right? I mean, we could say the throne belongs to us, and we could look for an opportunity the next couple of decades to attack them. Eventually, that CB will expire. I think 20 years. I think we'll have 20 years to do this. But that would involve attacking Austria. Or we could just say we have no interest in them and get 5 prestige. Tough choice. You know, what the heck? Let's go with the top one. Let's get the CB against Milan. I don't know how long we have until that expires exactly, but I think it'll be like 20 years. It'll be 10. I don't know. We might not take advantage of that, but 5 prestige isn't that great. We don't really care too much about that. We don't care too much about that. Restore the Union. Yep, Austria will join. In fact, Austria will be a co-belligerent. They'll call in their own allies. Holy cow. This would be insane. We would lose this war as it stands. But if Milan can break away from the Holy Roman Empire, which they do at some point, that would be good. You know, the funny thing is we have a truce with England, so let's mothball these forts to save the money. Right, we don't need to pay the troops anymore, unless we're thinking about. I mean, I don't know, attack Burgundy. We technically we have the numbers against Burgundy. We could call in Provence. We'd really have the numbers against Burgundy. What do we want against Burgundy? We don't have any claims. We need to build a spy network on Burgundy. Let's pull back this Brittany spy network, and let's actually send it to Burgundy to build a spy network to fabricate claims on Burgundy. Because we're going to want claims on them. There's other historical things that can go on with Burgundy, actually. Being in a war with Burgundy is not a bad thing. 49 years old. If their leader dies during war, a historical event happens called the Burgundian Inheritance, and we'll actually inherit some of French's land. So really what you want to do is you kind of just want to go to war with Burgundy at some point and just kind of sit on it. And hope that triggers, hope that happens. I don't exactly know how it all works these days, to be honest, but because it's been tweaked and updated and stuff a number of times. To be fair, we're kind of just hanging out. We're curious to see if Portugal is going to get into a war with Morocco, maybe. We're kind of curious if Castile's going to change their attitude towards England. We're kind of curious if England's going to get tossed. I mean, England and Burgundy being in a war would be a beautiful thing. Production research flawed. Ignore them. We'll lose prestige. I don't want to lose administrative power because, again, these tie into technologies, and these we haven't talked about. These powers as symbols really haven't come up except for that event there that we could spend some to get rid of that negative event. But these are very important, unfortunately. Yes, we're not excommunicated anymore, I don't think. Savoy has been excommunicated. Wait, are we still can you only excommunicate one at a time? Here's the papacy thing. Is there a new pope in town? Yeah, I think we might have a new pope. But maybe, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but we might be excommunicated until our leader dies. Yeah, it's the leader. The leader is just permanently excommunicated. That's a bummer. That's a serious bummer. I thought that'd maybe go away a little bit sooner. Dang, I mean, Pope, you're kind of making me want to maybe come over here and attack you, dude. In fact, what would happen if we attack the Pope? What kind of alliance network does he have? You could just go around, click on people, and hit declare war and get a sense of what's going on. We'd fight Switzerland, a couple of their vassals, and Scilly. Scilly's a tiny little insignificant nation. This would be a very easy war to attack to take Avignon. Very simple war, very, very simple. We just swoop in, take that province, and just boom, bada, bing. That's not bad. I'm going to stop building a spy network on England right now. We're at 50. We're just going to let that ride. And I don't know. Maybe we do build one on the Pope, since the Pope's clearly not going to be our friend. So again, when I'm making these, when I'm in the menus, I'm hitting space bar and pausing. You'll see the banner come up. Even though these ships are moving, the game is paused. These ships are just moving to their fixed locations. It just doesn't. The ships don't freeze instantly, but the time does. We have a truce with England. It's warning us that it'll expire in 5 years. We really want to kind of go to war with England. They're excommunicated. I don't know if that's ever going to change until our leader dies. I think it's just going to stay at minus 200. We're doomed over here. What can we do if we were to test the waters on England? I know we can't attack because we have a truce. If we were to break the truce, it'd be a horrible penalty of stability and aggressive expansion, all kinds of terrible, terrible stuff. I don't understand why Provence and Castile have such a positive relationship with England, because doesn't Castile actually want this land here too in Gascony? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do want that land. Castile's going to be gearing up for a war against Granada. Right now they have a truce with Granada for 1 more year, but they're going to be attacking them in next year. It's going to make them distracted. When they're in their own war, they're not going to want to join our war against England. We're building up money. We can easily build more troops. Our force limit is going up, though. It's kind of a tricky thing. We could be building more ships. These barks, they do tend to pay for themselves. Let's try to get some light ships. That'll get us up to our naval force limit. Those guys will pay for themselves. Let's get some more land units so we can be a little bit more formidable and intimidating. Having a strong army does help us diplomatically. It also keeps our enemies at bay because they can recognize that we have a strong army. Okay, we've gotten Burgundy up to 30. So now that we have 30 with Burgundy, we can fabricate claims on Burgundy. Fabricate claims. Actually, I just realized something. Let's keep working on Brittany or England, because we can support rebels. That might be fun to do. So let's go back. Let's try to get to 60. Try to get to 60 on England. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to say, hey, fabricate the claim on this province. So we could do this a couple different ways. I can click on Burgundy. I can go to fabricate claim, and it'll show me a list of all the available provinces, and we can just look around for where these are. I see this one here. Oh, we're touching down here. So here's one here. And then presumably this one here. Yeah, those are the ones that we can build a claim on. Let's do it on this one. No real rhyme or reason to it. That now gives us a conquest war against Burgundy. So we could attack Burgundy and say that, and credit this fabricated claim as our reason for war. So that could be good. And Nevers is a subject of Burgundy. And we do know that in about 8 years we could start integrating our own subjects into our country too. Which will be able to extract more. We'll get paid more. If we own this land directly, it'll end up being a net benefit to us economically. Which kind of makes sense. The only thing we have to make sure of when it comes to these troops that we're building and stacking up is we just need to make sure that they're they can't move because they don't have enough morale. Hello? But what we need to make sure is that the province that they're sitting in has a high enough supply limit. This Paris has 27 supply limit. It's quite high. It's our capital as well. So there's not an issue here. But if there was over supply limit, they'd be taking some kind of attrition. You know, down here is 21. And when you click on it, when you actually have an army, and I'm just joining them up here. So it's just like we're all just kind of joining up in the army. With this button here to merge the selected units. So I'm selecting these units, merging them into one army. But you can see here that it says the supply limit over here, they have 21,000 troops. Supply limit there is 21,000. So that ends up kind of balancing out correctly. In fact, I'm going to peel a guy off so that army doesn't get too bloated and bring these guys down and have them join in with these guys. And of course, we could just, we could build 7,000 more troops. It looks like we can afford it too. We have the manpower. I think we build up to our force limit. I think we do. Seven, so those 7,000. We have a little bit of money left over. We should be making money. But guys, I think for the most part, we're going to pause here. Some weird things have happened. England gave us Maine. If you were playing this game, England might have triggered a war against England. That moment might have actually triggered a war. In this case, we have a couple things. We can get a fabricated claim against the Pope. We can fabricate a claim against Burgundy, and we can support rebels now that we've gotten to 60 in England, so we can see what all that's about. I just kind of want to get these troops built and merged before we cut army maintenance quite a bit. Okay, we've just finished the mission. Now this will give it for 25 years. We can wait to click this. I'm going to wait to get this benefit when we attack England. Oh, we got a supply limit over here. Holy cow. 20, 20. 25. Go stand in there. Stand there and you won't take any attrition. Alright guys, thanks everybody for hanging out with us during this episode. We will be back in the next episode where hopefully the truce with England is going to end. Is it 51? Is it 1451? Yeah, 51. So 3 years, we might speed the game up. Oh, we're on speed 3 right now. We might speed up to speed 4 and just let it ride up to the moment that we can attack England. And we might just kind of go for it, regardless of their alliance network, to be honest. They allied Tyrone, too, so they're picking up a bunch of allies over here in Ireland. Not the most intimidating thing ever. If they allied Burgundy or something, that would have been kind of scary. Oh, what's this going on down here? Castile's attacked. Castile has attacked Granada. They are at war. Oh, Morocco's involved. Oh, this could be really good. Portugal, in 3 years' time, Portugal might not have an appetite to defend England. If we can attack England and Portugal doesn't want anything to do with it, that would be an amazing opportunity to attack. This is good. This is good. So when we get back, we might have our window of opportunity to attack England without Portugal's involvement. Guys, thanks everybody for being here. If you guys have questions, please ask in the comments. I answer all the questions. Thanks everybody for being here, though. And thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Subscribing helps so you can catch the episodes as they come out. There's a playlist link down below as well. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next one.